It's a great honor to allow to speak here. More than 20 years ago, I was traveling through Europe with interrail tickets. Also in Eastern Europe, I visited Bucharest, Sofia, Budapest, and with a school trip, I was in Prague just a few months after the communist regime ended there. And a lot of the results of that regime were visible back then. And the image that really struck my mind was that of a shop selling only one sort of soft drink. Hundreds of bottles with the same liquid. A yellowish beverage. It was so chemical that it seemed as if the drink gave light. The bottles seemed to symbolize how the former government wanted to treat its people. Only one opinion counts, only one soft drink will be enjoyed. And yesterday we had a meeting of European humanist organizations, and as a chair of the Dutch humanists, the new chair of the Dutch humanists, it was the first time that I joined this yearly event. And I listened with great respect to our friends from Eastern and Southern Europe, where humanists still is facing an enormous wall of ignorance. Bizarre and unequal treatment of non-believers, the big influence that religions has on day-to-day politics, side reporting of opinions of humanists, hostility. One of the representatives of Romania said it's a great pleasure to be a humanist in his country because there's a lot of work to be done. Well, lots to be done indeed. But at the same time, as the chair of the Dutch humanists, I note that in the Netherlands we face a complete different situation. In the Netherlands, most of the things that the humanists are fighting for here in the south has been achieved. Humanists are treated in general the same as religious groups. On the state level, we have humanist councillors in the army, in jails and hospitals. At the inauguration of our new king, the humanists were invited. I was sitting next to the cardinal and leaders of the Protestant and Jewish communities. I was a little bit jealous, though, of the cardinal because he had this wonderful habit. So I ordered Ineke to develop a humanist habit for me because I like their clothes. Yeah. The Netherlands was the first country that legalized same-sex marriages. Next to tulips and cheese, that had begun to catch on in many other countries, and we're very proud of that. Yes, we have a lot of religious schools. 70% of the Dutch young people are going officially to religious schools, but most of them are only religious by name. There are no problems whatsoever on teaching evolution or having gay teachers to let other opinions or other lifestyles in. It's only a small amount of very orthodox Christian, Jewish and Muslim schools that are given this kind of problems, only 3 to 5%. And of course we continually denounce those specific policies of those specific schools, but compared to the skill that our friends in the Eastern and Southern Europe has to cope with, are facing, we are fortunate. So we are fortunate in the Netherlands. And of course there's still a lot to do, but we are generally fortunate, and that has its own problem, because a lot of people ask us, why is there a necessity for the humanist? Because things have been done. And, well, I think that's an existential question to us. Why are we on Earth? Well, it's important to go back to the founding of the organization in the Netherlands. The Dutch humanists were founded after World War II. A lot of people were leaving their church or traditional groups, and the founders felt it was necessary to provide an alternative for the gap that remained. A new option that can provide support for vital questions, where you can find some sort of inspiration which can give you something in the beautiful and troubled times in your life. Although that was the main reason that humanists were founded, the last decennia, the most important way for us to be newsworthy was when our ideas grazed against those of certain religious groups, when we attacked privileges of religions, or we were debating their dogmas, like you are doing here. For a long time, humanism has been for some a kind of counter-movement to religious principles. But now, humanism has to get used to be, in fact, the mainstream. Humanism has entered in the Netherlands a new phase. Yes, freedom is extremely important. But it is when that freedom has been gained that the debate really gets started. are we going to do about that freedom? I think the founders of the Dutch humanists, who were also very important founders of the international humanists, we were referring to actually that question. What do we do with that freedom? And a lot of young people, a lot of parents, a lot of elderly people, teachers hunger to address those kind of questions. What do we do with freedom? How do we take responsibility to future generations? Patronizing behavior is unnatural to a humanist, but nor is he unmoved when someone becomes seriously addicted to alcohol or drugs. Where is free choice? And where do we have to start helping someone? How to discover human trafficking and slavery and prostitution and pornography? Parents have to do with raising their adolescent kids. What is the right balance in being strict and giving freedom? What are we doing with the fact that science shows that the adolescent's brain is much further vulnerable than we used to know? What do we do with those kind of new scientific research? And besides all those questions, people can not only be crushed by religious dogmas, but also by generalization in the public debate, but also in healthcare, where stark timetables and forms do not take into account the specific wishes and talents of individual people. Due to a lack of focused personal attention, people sometimes get swamped in the masses or disappear in the unnamed statistics into bottles of anonymous soft drinks, so to speak. It calls for a humanist for focused efforts, for personal involvement. It too calls for a radical departure from convenient solutions for the group into a focus on the individual development and to encourage excellence. I always notice that some humanists show some discomfort by claiming that humanism is a life stance. And I notice not only that here, but also in the Netherlands. In a way, we have to overcome a certain embarrassment. The embarrassment of being the majority. But it is really a shame if we don't show what a terrific and rich history humanism actually has. Art, philosophy, literature. Is there a life after death? No. But also, yes, of course there's a life after death. We live on in the genes of our children, or in their memories, or in the memories of friends, or in the things we have done during our lifetime. Everyone has contributed something that will last longer than our lifetime. The fact that we can learn from other generations through literature, stories, movies, songs, personal memories, or ancient histories ensures us that we find some recognition in each other. So, love, sorrow, pain, jealousy, hate, loss, joy, insecurity, we have to cope with that. And maybe because we know that we are part of a generation and that we can learn something from other generations and that the generations that will come will suffer with the same problems, maybe this awareness assures us that we might feel less alone. Humanists are not inspired by just one book, but we have millions of books. So come to us. And this more positive attitude is also very helpful, I think, in the classical debates on religion. A few weeks ago, I was in the Dutch Parliament, because until 6 months ago I was a member of that Parliament. I had written and entered a bill to strike the ban on blasphemy. Now it was the time to discuss my proposed bill, and I was honored to be there as the advisor with my successors in the Parliament. And a lot of Christian members of Parliament said, well, this is a way of treating us badly, and this is against Christianity. But in reaction to that complaint, we replied, on the contrary. In several various Islamic countries, atheists and humanists are threatened by death penalty because of blasphemy. Last week in Russia, an extremely strict bill against blasphemy was passed. But I remembered those Christian members of Parliament that many Christians are persecuted for blasphemy in strict Muslim countries. So when you treat your own religion or ideology differently, giving it a separate status to other opinions, you should realize that someone else may do the same. The equal treatment of opinions in the end is conducive to everyone's freedom. That's the positive approach. Freedom serves us all. Freedom is such a rich principle that it brings up its own continuing moral debates and practical solutions. Humanism is vital in that future of freedom. And fellow humanists, don't be shy. Let us grab that chance. Thank you so much.